I'm like, listen, I'm live. All right, we are live.
All right.
How are you, everybody? Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. We are back at it again. Remember, we are doing our series of the District 20 candidates who are running for the special election happening in November. That's we're trying to. They are trying to vie for the spot that was left unfilled by the death of Alcee Hastings. And so we've had several people on. We finally have Dr. Barbara Sharief that we're excited to talk to. In the beginning of this, I was saying that I really want a woman to get this seat, a Black woman, and I was chastised. I was, I got messages and all that other stuff, but I'm still, I'm still pushing.
It's gonna hate.
I'm still pushing for my Black women. So I'm excited to have an opportunity to speak to the third Black woman who is running for this seat and she is a Democrat. And so we're going to give her an opportunity. So again, my name is Narnique Nikki Grant. I'm one of your co-hosts for Race and the Races. A little bit about our show is that this show was birthed out of my frustration after the Ahmaud Arbery case. And I was talking to Sandra about it. She was like, let me be your sounding board. How are you feeling? And then we discussed and said, hey, why don't we do a show and talk about that and really kind of bring in parts of the political process and being part of the political process in our community, because not a lot of us are participating, and we want people to participate. So it was birthed out of that. I have 5 kids, a husband, 2 dogs. A little bit in politics in terms of running. I try to run for school board. But it was a great experience. I'll never say never that I won't do it again. But it was one that I wanted to be there as an advocate for kids, and especially for our community, right? So I'm gonna send it over to my co-host. She's gonna introduce herself. I'm also the secretary of the Haitian Democratic Caucus. Just so people can kind of think, but I'm not in this capacity. This is our show. This is just a regular capacity, and I say what I want. So we do that there. All right, co-host, your turn.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Sandra Sheffrey, one of the co-hosts of Race and the Races, all things race and politics. Yes, we are. We do have the pleasure today of speaking with Commissioner Dr. Barbara Sharief. I'm excited about this conversation. I've had an opportunity to observe her on a couple of different panels, and she sounds ready. She sounds ready. So, but they answer questions in 90 seconds, 2 minutes. So we're going to give an opportunity to develop the platform. I've already sent messages out to folks like, listen, y'all need to tune in because this is a very important seat. And one of the things, the election is on November the 2nd, but understand that this is to finish out a term. They have to run again for 2020. So they're going to be in this seat and pretty much campaigning the whole time because they got to turn right back around. And there's a primary in August of 22. And then the actual election is going to be in November of 2022. So this is very important. And I do believe the person who gets, who wins now should have a very good chance of winning again, in the primaries in August, and then to finish the seat, to win the seat in November 2020. So that's why this is important, and we definitely want to give them an opportunity for people to see them. You can see we all the videos are on our Facebook page, Race and the Races, and we also have a YouTube channel where you can go just Google their names. You'll find the videos, and you'll get to see what it is they're talking about. So
like, share, subscribe.
Yes. Like, share, subscribe to the page. Yes, definitely go take it out. And it's been interesting, like just having this this interview series of how people's personalities are, different, and you kind of can get a feel for the person when you're talking to them, right? Because now they're relaxed, it's a comfortable. This is your stage, this is your moment. You get to talk about yourself, and if a person can't do that, then I don't know, So it's definitely been very interesting past couple of weeks. And so I guess we're saving the best for last because she's the last one of the District 20 candidates, right?
No, well, she's the last Democrat of the District 20.
Oh, that's right. We're talking to the Libertarian next week.
Yeah, we're all going to interview the Libertarian next week. We want to know how. We just want to know. We just want to be things. And so, listen, we did.
We're
this.
not dream killers here.
We sure not.
Yourself.
We don't dream kill. We don't kill no one's dreams. But what we do is, even though you come on here, don't come and try to check us because. Some of y'all came and
that was a big mistake for the first.
That was a big mistake. Yeah. So we all friends, and if you don't agree with certain things, that's okay. But you can have a regular conversation. But don't come in here and check Black women now. You can't do that.
Especially when you ain't even on the right side of the issue. Come on now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're gonna come check. right?
We don't talk about nobody today. This is Barbara Sharief's time. This is Dr. Sharief's time.
Let's go ahead. Please, Dr. Barbara Sharief, please introduce yourself. Tell everyone about you, what you've done, what are you doing currently? Because I know you are still the commissioner. And
yes.
What's your vision for District 20?
Oh, sorry. So I do have to correct. Okay. So since you said you're still a commissioner, I got checked yesterday because I made a comment
you got scolded,
right? Which I didn't understand, because I understand that the candidates that are running now had to resign the positions that they hold.
No, I'm a commissioner.
Yeah, that's right. So I thought once they resigned that they weren't working and they were campaigning, but I was told that no, they still hold their seat until January, the day of the election. So my bad. I got checked yesterday. I said I was gonna clean it up today, and I did. Yeah. So because there was a person who we were speaking to that basically said that the constituents didn't have anybody representing them because these folks resigned to run, and that information is incorrect. Because that was my understanding. They had a history in politics, so I thought they knew better. I went with that. I got checked real quick and said nope. They have the people are represented until January 11th, and those seats also have candidates running for them. So hopefully there'll be a smooth transition with the folks that are taking over. All right, thank you.
All right.
Way to do a disclaimer, Dr. Barbara.
I had to clear that up.
Yep, you have the floor.
That's okay. I don't get offended so easily. So I am Dr. Barbara Sharief, and yes, I am a current Broward County Commissioner for District 8. And District 8 is all of Miramar, half of Pembroke Pines, half of Hallandale, West Park, and Pembroke Park. And as you know, in District 20, all of Miramar is in District 20. So for the past 11 years, I've been serving as a county commissioner for that district, and I also had the pleasure and privilege of serving 2 terms as the vice mayor of Broward County and 2 terms as Broward County's mayor. I am the first African-American female mayor in Broward County's 100-year history. In addition to doing that, I served previously on the Miramar City Commission, which is the city I live in, and I served as a commissioner as well as vice mayor prior to being elected to the county commission. And what I also accomplished during the time that I've been on the commission is being able to be elected statewide as the first African-American female president of the Florida Association of Counties. And what that means is that I represented the entire state of Florida on a national level, all 67 counties. I lobbied in Washington, D.C. for rurals, small counties, urban counties, agricultural issues, large urban county issues such as food deserts and unhealthy counties, generational poverty, areas of blight, prison reform, Medicaid and indigent care benefits. So you name it, I've done it. And I'm currently a member of the National Association of Counties and in the leadership. I served for 9 years on a bipartisan National Healthcare Steering Committee. That committee I started serving in during President Barack Obama's time. I was tasked with trying to help to fix the Affordable Care Act and decrease prescription drug costs. On my time on that committee, I also handled Medicaid expansion, Medicare long-term care expansion, indigent care funding, and a whole host of other healthcare issues, criminal justice reform, mental health issues, and then again, rural and agricultural health issues as the Health Steering Committee chair. I am the founder and CEO of South Florida Pediatric Home Care, which is my baby. So I'm 28 years in the healthcare profession. The doctor is for Doctor of Nursing Practice. And for the past 20 years, I've been a business owner. I provide jobs right now to just over 200 healthcare heroes like myself, frontline people who work in home health care. And what we do and what my specialty is critical care and intensive care unit nursing. And so we take people from the hospital and we set them up at home with around-the-clock nursing care. So we're setting up the intensive care unit at home. I provide therapy services and registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, home health aides, CNAs. And what I'm so proud to do is provide jobs for our Black community. So 85% of my staff right now is African American and of Caribbean descent. And so that to me is just it's probably one of my proudest accomplishments besides having my 3 beautiful girls that you see all over my page right now. I'm a proud mother of 3. And their ages 22, 20, and 14. And no, I did not start at 10.
You look it though.
You look it now. I was gonna question your age for a minute, and I was like, you know what?
I am 50.
Yeah.
I guess, got the genes.
Amen.
Grandma,
Black don't crack at all.
I had somebody, when I was mayor, I went to the governor's office and I had an appointment, and one of the guys came out, one of the staffers, and he looked at me and I said, yeah, can you tell the governor that I'm here? And he said, yeah, when is the mayor coming? And I looked at him, I said, I am the mayor. And he was like, oh, my bad. I was expecting somebody older. And I was like, how old do I have to be the mayor? Like, what do I need to look like? So shortly thereafter.
You look like an old white man.
I don't know, but shortly thereafter, this streak came.
Oh, the grand.
I call this the wisdom streak. I was like, why, Lord, why? So right after this man says this, my hair starts to turn gray. I said, oh my God. But anyway, I think, when we go about our day and we do the things that we do, we have our moments of levity and joy and fun. And I think for me, being here and being in the fray of things as a county commissioner, as the mayor, I've had some tremendous experiences. Some of my life experiences, I think, have led me to this point. As you know, I was a victim of gun violence at the age of 14. I lost my father that way. He went to work in 1987. He went to work with my 19-year-old sister. At that time, I never expected that I would be hearing that I would never see my father again. And a 15-year-old tried to rob him, put a gun to his chest, and killed him in front of my 19-year-old sister. And I had a guaranteed acceptance to medical school at that time. I was at the top of my class, and it changed my life. I went from having a very comfortable life to struggling, to not knowing where my next meal was going to come from, and then being in school and struggling, not being able to pay $100 for dorm rent, not being able to feed myself. And luckily, God placed some amazing people in my path, like my auntie Letha, who used to work at our masjid in the kitchen and used to fill up my food containers and for the week so I could eat while I was going to nursing school. I worked 3 jobs. I worked as a waitress for Morrison's Custom Management. I worked as a nighttime key holder for Lane Bryant. Hey, plus size girl.
Yeah.
And and I worked in work study program where I sat at the front desk and opened the door all day and all night for students to come in and out of the dorm so that I could pay
that in college too. I did the overnight in college.
And so, I have all of these, I think it's just life experiences that came into play as I moved through my political career. So, as mayor of the county, I was mayor when the mass shooting occurred at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, which is how I ended up being involved with Barack Obama's administration and trying to bring about change in gun laws. You see, I think what people don't realize is that, when that gentleman carried that weapon through the airport, and he was able to fly with the weapon and the ammunition through our airport, that can happen in any airport in America right now, because we haven't changed the gun law. So I got very involved in trying to change the TSA gun laws about ammunition and guns traveling together. I also got involved in trying to get high capacity magazines off the street and also doing better screening for mental health and domestic violence history before a weapon is sold, because most, if not all, I would say 90% of these mass shootings have occurred with people who have mental health or domestic violence history. And so it's really important that when you go to Congress, which I'm going to Congress, ladies, when I go to Congress, that I advocate to make our community safer and better. And my personal experience showed me that, listen, that happened when I was 14 years old. I'm going to be 50 on November the 7th. And nothing has changed about the gun laws. Nothing has changed about the criminal justice system. And if we're going to be real about it and we're going to perpetuate change, then we have to be that change ourselves. So that's why I'm going to Congress. I'm going to Congress with my experience, my life experience. I want to change some things. I am a longtime member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the Ladies of the Pink and the Green. I'm a Lynx member. I've been donating within my community and giving back for many, many years. I think that if when you're blessed with the type of rebound that I've had in my life, you have to give something back. My way of giving back was through public service. I have been blessed also to be, my mother calls me a career student, by the way. So I have 6 college degrees and I never stop. I love to learn. So if you want to take one thing away from me, I read everything. When I started on the Miramar City Commission, they used to hand me like these stacks of binders, and they would say, "This is for the meeting," and I'd say, "Okay, let me take it home." And I started reading everything, and I just remember somebody said to me, "Nobody reads all of that," and I said, "Well, if I'm going to vote on it, I want to know every single word." So I am a scholar. I love to read. I love to challenge myself. I like to keep my brain sharp. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing and Associate of Science degree in Nursing, RN diploma from Jackson Memorial Hospital School of Nursing, University of Miami. And I have 3 degrees from Florida International University, which is my bachelor's, master's, nurse practitioner. And my doctorate is from Wilkes University, Pennsylvania. I am a lifelong native of South Florida. Like I like to say, I'm country fried. My daddy is from Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama. My mom is from Marianna, Florida. And I do have 8 siblings, 84 first cousins, 16 uncles and aunts on my mom's side, 22 on my dad's side. So pretty much I have to be careful who I date and marry.
And you don't have to invite anybody to the party but family members, right? It's like we don't need no friends.
We don't
It's
need
like it's all
family
the
members.
relatives.
Don't invite nobody outside. No friends. We don't need that.
All right. So
That's it for my introduction.
I mean, what an introduction it is, right? I mean, there's a lot going on. And I'm like, finally somebody came on the show that has more degrees than I do. So I'm like, oh, okay. She got me beat. You know what I mean? I'm usually talking about the phone. She's like, she got 6. I was like,
Okay, shoot.
But
I got
for it. Like, I might have 2 more.
Okay, 2 is good.
Listen, I got 2 more in me. I'll go get a couple more. All right,
you inspired me to go back to school. I think I might go get another one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. Hey, listen, I'm for it. I'll go get another one. So, Narnie, do you want to start off with your questions? I do have some follow-up from some of the comments that she made.
Why don't you do the follow-up?
She did talk about the Glades, and I know you usually have a question about the Glades in Pahokee.
Yeah.
So, you want to go ahead and ask that one?
So I've asked all the other candidates that are running. So my heart and my passion is for those who are impoverished, right? And so the last candidate that came on said a number about 40% in the Glades is impoverished, and it's such a high number for me. What are your vision, and what are some of the things you're going to do if you get chosen to be in Congress to help that city or those 3 cities? I think there's like a combined cluster.
Pahokee.
To get to a place where we can get move past this 40%. Maybe how are you going to try to reduce that?
Well, my idea actually resonated because I was endorsed by all three mayors in those cities, at Belgrade, Pahokee, and South Bay. So let me just say this. You know, sometimes when people measure poverty levels, they don't necessarily take into consideration that the area where people are in doesn't have enough economic development to support the break in generational poverty. So, in that particular area, there are a large amount of people that have been working in the agricultural environment for a very, very long time. You know where we get our fresh produce, our rice, our sugar, our vegetables, right there. And so when you're talking about generational poverty or you're talking about people living below the poverty line, what happens is that there is it's basically a cap on what they can make because all they have is that. So what I proffered to the mayors of those counties is this. One, bring in hospitality and tourism into those areas. One of the things that the Glades is very, very rich in is land. It's beautiful out there. They got that Herbert Hoover Dike out there. They've got lots of waterways and lots of places that people could just vacation as long as they built the infrastructure around it. And what I mean by that is, if you want to attract first class healthcare professionals, then you've got to be able to have a first class hospital with amenities that people can live in, and then an industry of hospitality that you can invite people in while you're changing the environment. They need hotels, they need restaurants, they need to build up their hospital because people are having to drive 45 minutes to get to the nearest hospital to get specialty care. There's a lack of access to care in that community. And so I proffered a solution with helping them to rebuild that community and build on the strength, which is agriculture, but expand beyond that so that they can create some higher paying jobs. Now, the agricultural industry over there is one component of economic opportunity, but we can increase jobs by bringing in the tourism component, bringing in the hospitality industry, and then bringing in better healthcare. And so that's my proposal for that area, to move it and make it change. The other thing that we have to do is we have to provide infrastructure for the aging infrastructure that's there, for the population growth that's there. I sit on the 16 County Coalition Water Resource Board, so I know where every bone, every skeleton is hiding. And one of the things up in that area in the Panhandle is water. And people talk about the water and the farming, and the farmers are causing the water pollution, but really what it is stagnation. And it's a lack of infrastructure keeping up with population growth. And so in order for them to do better, we in Congress got to do better. We got to bring down those dollars to improve that area, and we got to help them along the way. And so that's my plan. And then I'm going to support a federally set minimum living wage of $15 an hour, even though I know that's a starting point. We should do better, but $15 an hour would start to bring some people and break that poverty cycle. And then the last thing that I proposed to them was education. You see, you can't break the poverty cycle if you don't give people an educational opportunity and an ability to get out of there. So what happens? They don't get to grow because they're stuck. They got one college that's close to them. People don't get to go because their parents are strapped. They've been working 2 jobs, 3 jobs trying to make ends meet. We need to bring down some better Pell Grant initiatives to that area for people who choose STEM or education as a career path. And so I think that it's more like a 4 or 5 prong approach to bringing that area along. And so I'm committed to that.
Yeah. So I heard you say a couple of things, and one is that, and one of the things that President Biden is trying to do is get this infrastructure bill passed. Right? It
Yes.
has passed the House. I don't know what those senators. I don't. I'm starting to not be able to explain any of this behavior anymore. At some point, you used to kind of be able to make some sense of it, but I don't understand. So it seems like you would support an infrastructure bill because we need that in so many ways. Like you said, that community is aging. They got aging bridges. There's a room for a lot of development. I live in Miramar West, and I'm 45 minutes from South Bay, and literally you drive there, and it's like another world. You just like,
Yes.
this how we live. It's like a different world,
It
and you're
is.
like, we're still in America, so
Like,
it's
what is
something
that?
definite. What is that, right? And something definitely needs to be done about that. And one of the other things that you talked about is one of the questions we typically ask is about education. Yes, education is important, and so what's your position on free colleges for everyone? Your position on loan forgiveness? But for me, my thing is like I think they need to bring trades back in schools because when I went to school, you could learn how to cook, you could learn how to sew,
Yeah.
you could learn how to type, you could learn all of these skills. And when I went to college before computers were like a thing, so people would pay you to type their papers if you could type, right?
Yeah.
And they taught me that because they thought I was gonna grow up and be a secretary. I was like, okay, whatever, you know what I mean? But it helped me when I was in college, though, right? So what about that? Like bringing trades and doing something more on middle and high school level, and then something different for folks who want to go to college.
So it's interesting that you should bring that up. So in high school, I was a member of the Health Occupation Students of America Club because they were trying to get all of us that was interested in healthcare involved in healthcare from an early age. And so I worked as a candy striper in the hospital. And then that job that I had through Morrison's Custom Management, I was working in Imperial Point over in Aventura with seniors. And so I ended up, that job saved me because I ended up keeping that job and going to college off that job. But what I think has to happen is that we have to bring down dollars for that because our school systems are strapped. They can't keep up with the maintenance on the buildings that they're in. They can't keep up with the demand for the spending. And so at some point we have to invest in the infrastructure of schools as well and invest in educating more kids about that. Trade schools is a great way to give people a running start and allow them to explore what they like to do. And then get better at it and just continue. My RN diploma was the first thing that I got because that was the first thing I could afford to get. I went to Jackson Memorial Hospital School of Nursing, got that RN diploma, and I went to school off of Pell Grants, writing scholarships, writing essays for scholarships because I could do that really good. I was one of those people that would help people type their papers.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. And then we got the computers, and that was kind of like, oh, well, that's
Yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, I think trade school programming is really good. We need to dedicate Pell Grants for vocational colleges, more of that. And my take on it also, what I've experienced as a county commissioner, we started opening up satellite schools in Broward in conjunction with Broward College. And what I know from experience is that there's a lot of parents out there who want a second chance at getting that education, but they couldn't because either they had their babies or they've been working so many jobs and they just have no way. We have to give people that second chance. And so as far as educational opportunities, that's what I'd like to do. As far as free college for everyone, look, if we look at America compared to Dubai, India, Europe, China, we know that we're lagging behind in terms of educational opportunities, right? And the reason why we lag behind is because it's so expensive to get that opportunity. And even here in Florida, the insanity that went on in the legislative session about taking away the Bright Future scholarships. Like, what are we doing to the future kids in America if we keep taking away the only little opportunity they got? So, Bright Future scholarships was for kids who couldn't afford to pay for college, but they had amazing grades, amazing GPAs, and they worked real hard at it. And Bright Futures has so many obstacles and hurdles for those kids to jump. And then you finally get it. And some Republican with this bright idea decides he wants to limit and restrict the majors for Bright Future scholars. If you were not a STEM major, you're not going to get a scholarship.
And I have to tell you, so I went to high school. I was either middle school or high school when the lotto, because lotto wasn't always the case in Florida. And the way they sold the lotto to folks was that it was going to provide all of this money for education, right? Like that was the understanding that it was going to provide all of this money for education. Right. And then all of a sudden they started cutting programs, right? And as a matter of fact, every time I turn around, there's a new lotto game. I mean, I don't play like that, but you go to Winn-Dixon, you see the line. There's like, they got it like on a Tuesday and a Sunday and at 7 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock at night. They just keep adding more lotto features. However, the schools are getting less and less. Do you understand that? Like, is that something that you can explain? Is that something that needs to happen? The people in Tallahassee need to work on that, or is that something that can come from the federal government? Because they really sold it like it was going to do more for education, and it's done less. I mean, we used to have after school programs when I was in school.
I'm just trying to find anymore. Where's the money? Where's the money? That's all.
There has been a raid on the lottery funding for a while now. It started with Rick Scott. It continued through DeSantis.
She calls it a raid. She said it was a raid.
That's what it was.
It is a raid. So let me just say this. In terms of all these lottery games that they're bringing out, they're bringing that out so that they can afford to pay for stuff in the state of Florida that they want to pay for, but they're not investing so much in the educational future of our kids.
That's what it was supposed to pay for.
And that's what it was supposed to do. Listen, it's the same thing that they did. Look at when Bob Graham set up the Sadowski Trust Fund, right, for affordable housing, and all of us were supposed to pay our share into that. They went and took the Sadowski Fund and rated it the same way, took the affordable housing money, rolled it into the budget and said, too bad, you're going to continue to pay it and we're going to continue to take it. Okay. So this is historical for Florida. This is the same thing that they keep doing over and over again. On a congressional level, for me, what I want to do is I'm going to create those opportunities through Pell Grant funding and what I can control on the congressional level. Until Florida gets a governor in office that has a brain, we are not going to move forward, because we can't move our children forward if people don't believe that they're worth investing in. And you can't say that just because a kid comes from a middle-class family, that is the only child worth investing in, because you'll never end the poverty cycle. You'll never be able to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish, which is educating all of our kids for the future. Not everybody has to go to college. Not everybody wants to go to college. But if you want to go, you should be able to go.
But people also need to learn how to support themselves, right? We be like, okay, you don't want to go to college, but you need to figure out how you're going to eat, every day, and how you're going to pay to live somewhere. And if that's by a trade, then that's what we need to do. But if even if we're not going to send them to college, they need to understand that they got to figure out how they're going to support themselves.
Correct. And so when you're talking about a support, but people can support themselves if we pay them a living wage, a livable wage. Here's our problem in the state of Florida. Plain and simple. We have one of the highest cost of living here. For a two-person household minimum, the average cost of living is over $50,000 a year. Okay. So if you do the math, if both people in the house can make at least $15 an hour, they'll have enough money to live and enough money to save to achieve what? The American dream of home ownership. When you look at District 20 and you see that only 55% of the people in District 20 own their homes, that is telling of how unaffordable housing is here and how we perpetuate the cycle of rent and keep people in the rent cycle because we can't get them to make enough money to save for their first home. And then The other problem that we have is that we were hit hard during the recession. There's a lot of people out there who have lost their jobs, went bankrupt before COVID. And all we are offering are first-time homebuyer programs.
Mhm.
Let's get real.
Yep.
We need to add a second chance program into the first-time homebuyer program that forgives that failure or forgives that stain on your record and say, hey, listen, we know you went through a hard time, but look, you got a job, you're going to do better, and hey, let's get you that down payment assistance. Let's get you those reduced closing costs. And let's get you into a home that's your own so that you can keep a roof over your head. And let's start revamping the neighborhoods that way. And one of the things that gets under my skin so much is the gentrification that occurs when people are foreclosed on, bankrupt, kicked out of their house. People come in and say, oh, I'm going to make this neighborhood better. And then all of a sudden, the color changes. And those people that were living in that neighborhood for generations are gone. And then the
They
houses,
couldn't get them to pick the garbage up regularly, right? You know, my
$2
mom lives
million.
in Little Haiti. My mother lives in Little Haiti in Miami. And I'm telling you, that place is not looking the same. You know what I mean? They got places called Art Hood right now, right? I'm like, wait, on 7th Avenue, you know, 7th Avenue and 57th Street was just real different. And it's all of it is looking different. Northwest 2nd Avenue is looking extremely different. And I'm like, well, they couldn't fix this up before? Like, why all of a sudden, you know, you got people, they having rooftop parties on Northeast 2nd Avenue. That didn't happen when I was growing up. It's serious.
It is serious. I grew up on 50 in Masjid Al Ansar. It's on 54th
Avenue,
7th Avenue, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my house was in El Portel at that time. And in El Portel, we had this really nice house on the corner, which from my eyes as a little kid, looked like a mansion. You know, now I drive by it now and I'm like, oh my God, that house is small. But especially with 8 siblings, right?
Right.
But in that area where I lived, where it was just a regular, you know, family neighborhood, I went over there and some of those houses are going for like $1.5 million and $1 million. And I'm like, I used to skate over there on that street.
Yeah.
And most people can't afford to move there with 8 kids.
Yeah. I had an office on 88th and Northeast 2nd. So I'm familiar with it. I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah. So, you know, the only thing I can tell you is that, you know, I've been there. I've been in Florida and living through these changes. And we can do better than this. And we have to do better.
Absolutely. All right, so we're getting some questions about, like, you know, what are some of your proudest accomplishments, or what's one of your proudest accomplishments in all the times that you've been in office as a vice mayor, commissioner, elected official in the city of Miramar? What are some of your biggest accomplishments?
So one of my biggest accomplishments is that I stopped red light cameras in Broward County. So I was the sole person on the other end fighting the sheriff's department, the police association, the Mark Wendell law enforcement, the ATS camera people, because what I found out with the red light cameras, and most people don't know this, it's a regressive tax, because only the poorest and the lowest income people will pay that. Most people who can afford to take it to an attorney and they get it dismissed. But the people who are lower income, they're afraid to get the $251 charge versus the $158 for just paying it. And they use almost a half a week's salary paying a stupid red light camera ticket. And so I started getting these calls from the community back in, I think it was 2012 when I did that. And I started getting calls from the community about these red light camera tickets, and particularly teenagers calling my office and saying, hey, my mom's going to kill me. I got this ticket and what should I do with it? And I was like, wow, this is really horrible. And then when I did some looking into it, red light camera tickets are given based on a vehicle estimation device that is placed on the intersection where it's placed. And based on the highest estimation of vehicles going through and the estimation of how much money they can make, that's where a red light camera is placed. So, and it's usually placed in neighborhoods there where the families have a lower income. And that's the other reason why I said it's a regressive tax. So what I did is I started out fighting that by myself. And and this is how I learned that one voice can change something. I started off fighting that by myself, and I had other colleagues that kept saying, no, it's for safety. And I said, no. I ended up in this big battle, kept deferring it. I ended up with 3 people supporting it. So I had 4 votes, but not 5. And I had another colleague that kind of got on board, and she said, okay, let's defer it, because I could only defer it one time. So she deferred it again. And by the time it came back, we had 6 people that was supportive of it, and we were fighting through and getting it through the public hearing. And then all of a sudden, I had a colleague whose sister passed away, and the sister's tag was turned in, and she got a red light camera ticket. And when she got that red light camera ticket, they went after her for the red light camera ticket and kept attaching fees to it. So she said, hey, listen, my sister passed away. Why am I getting this ticket? And they said, there's no provision in the law to reduce or eliminate a red light camera ticket when you're dead.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how bad that is. So anyway, I ended up, needless to say, on a 9-0 vote, getting rid of ATS patching into Broward County's electricity and red light traffic light system to put red light cameras up. And that created an obstacle for them for putting them up in the county. And they became so expensive because they had to run their own power, put their own poles up. They couldn't use any of our tax-paid equipment. And so it stopped it from progressing. And then later on, the state took a similar position. So now red light cameras were trying to make a comeback, and I'm still there and I'm still stopping it. We just had a discussion on it this week. And I think that it's one of those things that if you don't have somebody that's paying attention at the wheel, you can get away with just about anything. And I'm not going to allow that to happen. And I was so glad that I was standing my ground on that, and that my voice was heard, and that I advocated for the people in Broward.
All right, thank you.
All right.
You have a question?
Yeah, I mean, there's some questions in the chat, but I don't know if I want to go into any of those.
Well, no, so I have one in the meantime.
Okay.
So that, well, you know, this is about your time in the commission, and it's gonna run into some of what's happening in the chat. So many people in this race.
Oh my God, yes.
So many people. And folks are giving up, positions in order for them to be a part of this race.
Right. And you were one of the first to file to run this race, even prior to the unfortunate loss of Alcee Hastings. What was the impetus that got you to file prior to, and why did you do that?
Sure. So I like I told you, I'm the only person in this race that's ever represented Miramar. And we knew early on that when the congressman ran last time, that was probably the last time that he was going to run. And I, starting November and actually September of the year before, I was getting mailers from 3 of the people that's in this race right now to my house in my district. And what that told me when I looked at the numbers, when Miramar shows up to vote, we'd vote. Mm-hmm. And so Miramar represented 30% of the previous voter turnout in Broward County. And so they were all trying to get their jump and their head start without declaring. And so strategically, it made no sense for me to be the county commissioner for this area and be terming out, which I'm terming out for 2022. So it's not like I was giving up my seat to run. I was running because I'm terming out, 1. Number 2, I have the experience and qualifications to do this and be in Congress. And 3, these guys were just hammering my district. And I knew that if I did not make my intentions clear and let my supporters know that I had intended to run for this seat, that I may lose my footing and my stronghold, which I always have. I always won Miramar by 70% or more. And so that's really what the impetus was. It was, do I let these guys hammer away and let everybody else know who they are and not defend my territory in my district? Or do I just go ahead and be transparent with it and come out and say, hey, listen, this is what my intention is. This is why I'm doing it. I had some people say, hey, listen, you shouldn't have done that. Well, guess what? Nobody sits around and loses their stronghold in their district and wait for somebody to come in and say, oh my God, you needed to wait for a certain time. And I hate the word, I need to wait my turn. When does my turn come? Representation right now in Congress, women outvote men 3-1.
They do.
That we only represent a little over 20% of a membership of 435 people, and we vote 3-1. If we represent and vote 3-1, then you know what? 66% of those 435 seats should be us.
That's right.
You're going to tell a strong woman with experience and a business background that I should just sit by and let the men get this seat? Women, wake up. Wake up, all I have to say. And I was woke. When those mailers came to my house, I was woke. And I did something about it. So don't hate me for doing something about it. I still have them right now. 3 of those men that was mailing to my district are in this race right now. So if they weren't making their intention clear while they were mailing to a district that they do not represent, then you tell them to wait their turn.
Well, and
that answers that question.
That's all period. Okay.
Mic drop.
Okay, so then
I'm done with that. Yes. I mean, I hear that and I'm like, if a woman repeats that one more time to me, I'm going to scream. This is like insanity. This is the year of the woman.
That's right.
Please, women, wake up.
Time's due. No more due time. Time's due.
We past due. We way past due. All right. So that answers that question.
You were talking about voting, and so like the John Lewis voting right bill is making its way through Congress. I believe it passed the House, and then it's in that old Senate place again. All of these people who just I guess that's where democracy goes to die or something like that. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the voting rights bill? And if and when you get there, are you going to support that and also try to talk to Rubio and Scott and see if they can kind of get on board or something?
Yeah. So I think.
You mean Val Demings? Because she won't be talking to no Rubio.
Well, so she'll be there while Rubio
is there before.
She's going to be there for about 10 or 11 months.
Special election. Yeah. I guess.
That's okay.
The other folks come in January 23?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Val Demings will be there then.
So here's the deal. One, I am all for the Voting Rights Act, and I do support it. I actually met John Lewis on multiple occasions, and I was privileged to be invited to Atlanta for his memorial tribute. I just went there. And for those of you who are on, I'm going to drop my information in the chat at some point in time so that you can go visit my page, because we had an amazing time there. Stacey Abrams, Ambassador Andrew Young. I was with John Lewis's family and his brothers. And it was a very momentous occasion because, I'll say this. When I spoke to John Lewis on these occasions that I had the privilege of meeting him and talking to him, I thought he should be tired, because let me just give it to you straight. That man, he just kept going. Mm-hmm. And I sat at a table with him and I looked at him and he said, "How are you, Mayor?" We were talking and I said, "I'm fine." And I said, "How are you?" And he said, "Oh, I'm good." And I asked him, what keeps you going? Like, how do you keep going? year after year when you've been fighting the civil rights battle for so long. And he said, it's not over. And it's not over. And people tend to think it is, and it's not. And so he was there to keep it in the forefront of our minds that it's not over. And that's part of what he meant by good trouble. Anyway, the bottom line is I was privileged to be there. I'm privileged to really support in Congress the Voting Rights Act. And I'm going to go one step further. In Florida, I need you to know that they do voter purging here. Meaning, if you don't vote in so many elections, you're purged from the system and you have to re-register. And guess what? You can't vote in an election for if you're not registered for a certain amount of time prior to that election. Okay. So I believe that if Florida continues to do voter purging, then we should have an opportunity to do same-day voter registration.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
Because you can't take people right away like that. And you know, I said this and somebody looked at me like I had two heads. Listen, if you take somebody's right away and they decide, who are you to say that if I don't vote in so many elections, you get to take my right away?
As an American citizen, right?
I registered, right?
Yeah.
So intentionally registered. And I say to you, I don't want to vote in 3 election cycles or 4 election cycles because I didn't see anybody I want to vote for. Now, that's your right. I always make my children choose. I say, listen, you better go look at this thing, educate yourself, and pick the lesser of the 2 evils if you got 2. If you got 4, that's even better. But vote. You got to vote because our forefathers, our ancestors died for this right and privilege. But it is your right to not. And so because it's your right to not vote, you shouldn't have that right taken away permanently because you choose not to use it 4 times. So that's my position on that. And that's why I feel like we need to push the John Lewis Voters' Rights Act through, protect absentee ballot voting, but also protect people's ability to register again if something motivates them to vote after a couple of cycles.
And protect them from these petty governors. That's what we need to do because these folks are in their feelings, like just doing like stuff that just don't make no sense. And that's what needs to happen. We cannot leave it up to individuals who don't know how to use their power. They clearly only understand how to abuse it, and they get in their feelings about the wrong thing, and then it impacts real people and real people's lives. So yes, I definitely believe that that's extremely important to happen. And so police reform is the other big thing, the George Floyd Policing Act. That's, you know, what does that look like to you? Like, is defunding the police one of the things you would support? Reforming the police? How would criminal justice reform look to you?
Okay, so first of all, when people say defund the police, even the people that saying defund the police don't believe that, okay? We need some form of law enforcement in our community. What I think they mean to say is criminal justice has to be dealt evenly throughout races. We have a large amount of Black and brown people that are locked up and in jail. But part of that is because we have uneven dealing out or dishing out of justice. One, we know that people who are less fortunate, who are from lower income areas, do not have the right representation most times when they have some major issues with crime or contact with police. Number 2, we know that people who are more affluent get lower sentences and who can afford to have a private attorney versus a public defender. That's just the statistics, it's reality. And please, public defenders, do not shoot me. I'm just
a public defender too. We real lawyers.
Okay? Yeah, don't get sensitive.
We real lawyers. I'm just letting you know.
I know you're real lawyers, but I can't help the statistics that's going on. That's what it is. And then number
on the prosecutors and the offers they make. in that caseload. They're not properly funding that department. That's all. That's what it is.
So then why are they offering up the people the way that they offer them up?
It's the prosecutors. And then they need to give the PDs more money. The office needs more money.
Exactly. Yes. And the other thing that we have is we have a disproportionate number of Black and brown people locked up for petty things. Legalize marijuana nationally already. Get a national policy in place for legalization of marijuana. Stop locking people up for carrying these small personal use portions of marijuana. And if you legalize it, guess what we'll do? It'll decrease the amount of illegal drugs on the street because people will not be trying to turn to every single thing like fentanyl and opioids so that they can get relaxation and take themselves away from the stuff that they're going through. People who need medical marijuana should be able to get that readily. We voted for this in Florida. We've had 2 governors that have not fully honored the wishes of the voters here. The third thing that we have to do is we have to nationalize police policy. You got police departments that are in the middle of wherever, ABCD country, and they are policing in their own way, racial profiling, punishing African Americans and Hispanics on their own terms.
And the nepotism is real in those departments, right? The nepotism is real. Like, you want a job, who your cousin, right?
Yeah, generational racism.
Yes.
And then you turn around and you say, well, how could it George Floyd and Breonna Taylor happen? Well, it happens because we have no set standard that you must police in a certain way. And that standard includes when to use force, when to call in a mental health professional team when you have a domestic or mental health a call. You don't just go there and tase till the person dies. You have to get some professional help in there. You need a crisis team on standby. That needs to be a standard for all police departments and law enforcement agencies. You need to have some real training, not just on cultural. I hate when people say cultural bias training. Listen, let me tell you about cultural bias training. That's nice. That's like putting a Band-Aid on a gushing wound. We need to do better. We need to reform the way people think about their approach. And it's not just the approach at Black and brown, it's the approach at our teenagers. How do you approach a teenager that's upset? You go in there and you run and you put your gun on them and you shoot them because you can? Or do you call somebody that can talk through it and talk them down? You don't have enough time to do that? Fine, go get a team of people that you can call in to do that. But let's save lives through national policy, setting national standards on how to use force, when to use force, how to talk to people. Listen, you don't talk to everybody the same way, right?
But one of the things that I didn't mean to cut you off, but one of the things that's important too is that when we talk about all these different training, they talk about cultural training. Because I teach in a criminal justice program at a couple of different schools locally, and one of the things I always tell my students to think about is their implicit biases, right?
Yes.
That is important, right? Like, even if you don't have these cultural sensitivities, you don't know, but you need to know what your biases are. You need to know what your biases are, and I tell them what mine are. Like, we have this conversation, and I start off about it. I keep the conversation light. But that self-awareness, we need more officers that are self-aware. Yes. I was part of a hiring process, and one of the people we're interviewing, he trains officers, and when the officers come to the schools, like the community the colleges, to get their training, most of the time they've already been hired by a department, right? Yeah. So they just come in to go to the academy and start working. And he referred to some of the cadets as wall huggers. And I'm like, well, why that person graduating? Because if they hugging the wall now in school, Like, how is that person going to be a good officer, right? Like,
exactly.
I don't care if that person's hired. If you're referring to a cadet that got a job and that's going to be in these streets making split seconds decisions with a gun, you should not be calling him a wall hugger. And the minute you do that, he don't need to be in that department. So this whole idea of self-awareness, it needs to happen, and that needs to be part of a national training.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
I personally, I mean, you all talking about training. I personally feel that this whole thing needs to be dismantled and started all up from fresh, because the way it was created in the beginning was through in terms of
slave catchers.
They were slave catchers. You know, I was trying to clear it up, but they were slave catchers. That is the foundation of the KKK.
And that's right. Real life. So,
that is the foundation of the thing. And so, in my opinion, I think the whole thing needs to be completely dismantled and restructured when you have input from those who are affected by it deeply. But I digress.
Absolutely. And I go further to say this: we have to weed out the bad apples, right? Mm-hmm. And there is a way to do that. But because people have seniority in police agencies, because they've just been working there, because their dad worked there, or their mom worked there, or their cousin, their uncle, you know, they tend to be kept around even when they're bad actors, even when they have complaint after complaint. And we see this over and over again. What I think that the Black Lives Matter movement did for accountability and policing is that they said, hey, look, we know this has been going on for a long time. And what we're saying is we are going to riot, protest, march until we get your attention. Mm-hmm. And so Black Lives Matter movement got the attention. Now, as legislators, as people involved in politics, I don't call myself a politician because I have another career. I'm sorry. This is my passion. This is the way I help people. But we have an accountability level there too. And that means that we have to advocate for equality, justice, and fairness. And it's not just on the communities, but it's an accountability for police organizations to be held accountable for their policing policies. But we're seeing right now, as a result of the Black Lives Matter movement and as a result of people being aware that now justice is dealt more swiftly when you have a bad actor. The police departments want to get rid of them so that they're not looked at in a bad light throughout America. You know, you saw, on Miami Beach, what happened when that video came out just a few weeks ago. That officer was suspended. IA moved very quickly. They got rid of him. They were like, we don't want this associated with our department. You see all time and time again that police departments are now holding officers accountable. And I believe that that's what the defund police movement was about. That's what the Black Lives Matter movement was about. So it's about doing better.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so I agree with you on that. However, now this is what I always talk about how elections matter, right? So that's happening on one end with the police department, but then we got a governor and some Republicans in Tallahassee that's passing legislation on protest bills. They're about to put forth some more legislation to say that you can't videotape police officers, right? So on one hand, police departments are trying to be like, okay, listen, let's get these old cops out here that's killing folks out of the department. But then somehow people made the mistake of electing legislators who are supposed to represent and protect them, that's going out there passing protest bills and trying to, have other bills to say that you can't record police officers. And we all know if George Floyd's death was not recorded,
no justice would have come from that.
Nothing would have happened because they filed the report like nothing happened. Like, oh yeah, this guy died in police custody, and it kept simple. And it wasn't because of but for that video that the young lady posted on Facebook, this would have been a completely different conversation. So now, because that's helpful, now we have legislators who should not be able to keep their jobs are trying to pass bills to say that you can't record the police officers. Why is that? To me, that is like, you know what? We want going to continue doing what we're doing, and we don't want no consequences, and we don't want this recorded. So that's why elections matter. You got to pay attention to what it is that these people are doing with these positions of power that you're giving them. And if they're putting forth legislation like that, they need to lose their jobs.
They do. But you know what? Let's face it. How many times do these same people that standing on this corner go inside the voting booth and keep voting for these people that's creating these problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my girls, I can only speak for those 2 girls that can vote in my house right now. I, as a parent, have taught my children to educate themselves. So when we see somebody on the ballot that means us no good, I don't care what color they are. You see, we keep going inside the voting booth and say, oh, I want to check all Black people down the line. But news flash, everybody that's Black ain't real Black. I mean, they're not really for you. So,
all skin folk ain't kin folk.
There you go. See, now, and let's be realistic. And then the ones that have to scream at the top of their lungs that they Black, why? Let your work,
your actions speak
for you. If you can get the job done, you don't have to scream I'm Black, because you know what? I don't ever have to do that. And I'm a very effective leader. You know what I do? I make our problem everybody's problem. And so when you solve that problem, you solve everybody's problem. Because it's a people problem. It's not a color problem. When Black people succeed and thrive, everybody should succeed and thrive. Mm-hmm. When we bring Black issues up and we solve Black issues, you shouldn't have to be guilting nobody into that. That's something that they should want to do, because everybody got Black people in their district. Mm-hmm. Even the ones that's in the Republican district, they represent Black folks too. So let's get real. When you go in the voting booth, you know what you got to do? You got to educate yourself, number 1. Number 2, you need to vote, no matter what. And 3, know your vote matters. Every vote counts.
Absolutely.
And I am a prime example of that. So did I not tell you I lost my first election in a countywide vote, and for the seat that I'm holding, county election, for county commission, I was running against Diana Wasserman Rubin, an 18-year incumbent. And I started running, and I didn't know the first thing about politics, but I knew business. And my neighbors were like, you need to run for office. You are an advocate. I was always out in my community. I was a PTA mom. I sold ice cream on Wednesday and Fridays in my kids' cafeteria. And I was involved in my community. And people kept saying, you're such an advocate, you need to run. Well, I ran. And the worst thing that I encountered was Black people that said I couldn't do it. And when I lost by 1,500 votes, they were like, oh my God, if we had known. And I'm like,
but you didn't know.
No, but you went and you said I couldn't do it. And then after I finished that, I was like, okay, I don't think I want to do politics, because, I don't like rejection. I don't like losing, because I've never lost at anything in my life. But I went back. And the second time around, everybody said, oh, you won Miramar by so much votes. You did such an incredible job. You should run again. And you should run in Miramar for that special seat, the special election for the 1-year term. I ran. Okay. I lost by 13 votes. And guess who they were? They were my family in my victory party. Eating up my food.
84 cousins didn't show up.
Yes, cousins.
Them 84 cousins, come on.
I didn't vote because I thought you had it.
What?
Yes, I am the poster child for every vote counts. Who loses by 13 votes? But you know what?
That is got up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I got up. I ran again and I won by a landslide, because I told them I'm not having no party. I'm not celebrating with y'all. I'll talk to y'all the next day after I win. I'm not doing that again. But I won in Miramar. And then 2 years later, this seat that I hold right now is the first seat I ran for in politics. And this is the seat I hold today. I beat 2 Democrats and a Republican for this seat. And I want to just let people know that Stop telling people to wait your turn. Stop telling people they can't do it. And most of all, stop telling Black candidates that you can't help them to get where they need to go. Like, we need to be in our community cultivating people that can do something for us and have and support us and to support the community. I would never have had a chance if, one, I wasn't self-funding myself. I self-funded all my campaigns up until I got to the county. And once I got to the county and I beat those 2 Democrats, the money just started pouring in. Now when I run, I get a lot of contributions. But my whole point is that we got to do that before that. We need to start cultivating in our community to say, okay, hey, maybe you're not a city commissioner. Maybe you should go to state. Maybe you should go to county. Not everybody got to go through all of the rungs before they get to where they need to go. Somebody said that to me the other day, oh, you skipping some steps. I said, what steps are there?
Yeah.
But
I do wish it wasn't 11 Democrats in this race, though. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not telling who. I'm not saying I don't know who should have waited or who should try something else or run for some office. But listen, 11.
So here's the deal. Everybody has aspirations. For me as a candidate, that doesn't really bother me to have 11 people in this race, okay? Because what that tells me is that people doing what they think they should do when they want to do it. And that's what we need in politics and in elected office. We need people that's not afraid to take a step on faith, not afraid to run for what they believe in, and not afraid to be standing on their position and say, this is what I want to do. So I would never deter anybody. When they told me that it was 17 people in the race, I was like, bring it on. Let's go. 17. The more the merrier. We're going to go ahead and do this. But the reality,
I'm not contributing to 17 campaigns. I'm donating to folks, but I don't want to donate to 17 people. I don't want to donate to 11.
No, all I want you to do is donate to one. All I want these people that's looking up, donate to one. I'm coming. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I just, we need to support. It's not in the same race. You donate to everybody, you're just diluting your money. And you really need to focus on who do you think has a good chance of winning? Who do you think supports your position as best that they can? And you're not going to agree to everything that everybody say. You know what I can't stand about the 11 candidate thing? Getting in a forum and having people just say whatever they think you want to hear.
I'm not going to say which forum you're talking about, but there was one of them that I was like, y'all ain't even telling the truth.
Like,
but that's
or the forum when they go after Barbara Sharief or whatever she said.
Whatever Barbara Sharief said.
They're like, whatever. I agree with what she said, and I'm just going to repeat what she said so it look like I said it too. Okay.
I don't understand it, but you know what? Listen, they're there. My position is from my life experience, my professional experience, my experience as a mother. God, let me tell you something about legislators. Men legislating women's reproductive rights. Can I just say something to you all? A woman's health is a woman's business, and we should not be legislating reproductive rights.
Not at all. Not especially, No.
It is amazing to me how we keep voting these men in who want to take away our reproductive rights.
It don't even make no sense.
And that's people's personal choice on how they handle that.
Exactly.
But come on, like you should not be able to legislate that like that.
You definitely should not. What are you in my business for? So.
And these are the same folks who don't want to take care of these children when they're here, right? Like, you don't let that poor mom have that kid, and then all of a sudden, why you need to go to work? Like, we can't.
There should be legislation for the man who's not doing anything. Am I gonna get $10,000 if I say that he's not paying his child support or helping the baby? I mean, like, what we doing?
And when they got $10,000 to be giving snitches, like y'all ain't got money to pay for real stuff. Like, what you doing? Like, where that $10,000 came from? Put that in some before care or like child care and babysitting and like that? What you giving
lunacy
snitches
of it all.
10 grand for? Like, that's crazy.
The lunacy of it all. I
was there knocking on somebody's door, and this man opens up the door and he says to me, I got one question for you. I said, yes. He said, you believe in a woman's right to choose? I said, yeah. He said, well, I don't, and I'm not going to vote for you because you believe in that. I said, okay, well, let me ask you a question. He said, yeah. I said, are you willing to pay for the rest of the child's life when the parent can't afford to support the baby? You willing to give the baby food, clothes, and education for the rest of his life when a mom says that she can't do it? He said, no, people don't need welfare. People need to go make a living. I said, and if a mother says, I'm not ready right now, and you say she has to have the baby, you're not willing to pay to help her to get through? No, I don't believe in handouts. I said, well, then what you can't do is you can't believe that she should have that baby.
That's right.
And because you can't have it both ways, because the baby needs care. And so if you're not willing to help her care for the baby, then don't force her into that. And that's why I came out against the Texas abortion ban. And where do those people come from? They don't want to support welfare food stamps. They don't want housing assistance and Section 8, but you want to say, go have all the babies. You can't have an IUD for free. You can't go to Planned Parenthood without getting arrested.
Your insurance won't pay for your birth control pills. It's like, what?
So it's the level of lunacy for me.
Yes.
So one thing I want you to clear before we go, because we're running into time now, but I want you to have an opportunity to clear it up. There was a candidate that came on there, and there's all over the billboards saying that you go for Juneteenth or whatever.
It's two things I need her to clear up, though. Two things.
Okay.
That one is one, and there's one more thing.
Okay.
Say mine. Then she'll do the clearing up.
Okay. So just clear it up for everyone about this.
Yes. No problem.
And let us know.
Okay. So first of all, I am an African American from the Deep South. Both of my parents rooted in slavery, and my ancestors come from plantations and slavery. Secondly, I know what Juneteenth is, and I actually seconded Dale Holness's motion on the dais, but his motion was never heard because Tim Ryan submitted a substitute motion, which in Robert's rules takes precedence over his motion. That motion that was submitted for educational passed by a 5-3 vote, with me, him, and Commissioner Udine voting against that. So we were dissenters, but we failed because 5 people outvoted us. So I don't really know why he has my name on the sign, but this week at the county commission meeting, if you care to look at it, I went ahead and put him on the spot to make him tell the truth. That sign is a complete lie. First of all, the people who voted against him and against us, 2 of them are missing from the sign. And I don't know how my name got on the top, but I call a spade a spade. That is a lie, an outright lie. It is meant to deceive our Black community, and it is meant to take away votes from me because I am the strongest candidate in the race. He knows that. He's behind. Our poll on August the 10th told him that. Our poll in June told him that. And that's why he started putting them signs up, because he knew he needed to try to chip away at the Black vote. And so my response to that is watch the video, get the backup. I provided the backup and I attached it to the item. And he is bringing his same item back again on September the 21st. And my backup and all my pictures and all of the proof that I have is attached to that item. And newsflash, Dale Holness, Juneteenth is not the day, it's not the time that Florida gained its independence and abolished slavery. We were free long before Juneteenth, but Juneteenth is the time that the last holdout, them white, mean people that did not want to abide by the abolishment of slavery. That is the day that America, quote unquote, gained its full independence from slavery. So education here That is not when the people in the South gained their freedom. My ancestors helped us to gain our freedom, okay? My great-great-grandma and my great-great-grandfather came here in 1908 as slaves, okay? We now own 275 acres in Marianna, Florida, the same one we were farming on and enslaved on, okay? And my daddy, who is from Montgomery, Alabama, his last visualization of his father was running down the street away from an angry mob of white people lynching him. Please do not profess your blackness on me. If you want to go out there and mislead the Black community, that is your prerogative. But for me, I do not have to shout how Black I am because I'm Black and I'm proud. And my history and my record stands for itself.
Okay.
That's on period.
I feel like I shouldn't even ask my question because that was like so good. I think there was a comment. I was looking in the chat. There was a comment that you may have ran as a Republican or you might have been registered as a Republican at some point, and now you're a Democrat. So I just clear that word. To clear that. That's the word.
Oh God. Listen, tell Dale Holness to get off the chat, please. I'm so tired of this foolishness. If you can't run for Congress based on your record and what you've accomplished, stop throwing torpedoes on people's dreams, period. That's what's wrong with Black America right now. That's what's wrong with a lot of Black people out there. Stop throwing torpedoes on people's dreams. I am not a Republican. I've never ran as a Republican. I've been registered as a Democrat and running as a Democrat and won as a Democrat. And newsflash, Dale Holness, I've won four times representing Miramar. Oh, and when you sent Alexandra Davis to run against me, I beat her by 68% too.
What?
Newsflash. I'm sorry.
I think there was a Miramar question here. Now I think I should be able to ask it, right? The Miramar question was like, do you have support of your commission in Miramar? That was the question.
Oh, that's Dale's friends. Of course. I mean, look, Mayor Messerman, those Dale's friends. I mean, come on. Give me a break. I don't need support from them. I pay my taxes. I live in my district. And guess what? This county commissioner is the reason why they have the band shell at Shirley Branca Park, the lighting in Foster Park. They have the amphitheater in Miramar Regional Park. This county commissioner brought that money to Miramar. This county commissioner is the reason why you have the nature preserve in Miramar on University Drive. This county commissioner gave them the money for the infrastructure improvement projects up and down Miramar Parkway. So let me just be clear. This county commissioner worked for 13 years on the Metropolitan Planning Organization. This county commissioner got them that overpass, that Pembroke Road overpass.
I use it all the time.
800 cars off of the expressway.
Yes.
This county commissioner stopped them red light cameras. This county commissioner got you that traffic light on Northwest 129th that y'all were asking for because accidents kept happening. Please, don't tell me I need the support of Dale's friends to run for Congress. I could care less about them. They are running Miramar into the ground. And what we need is accountability. Why are my taxes so high and my roads look like that? Why, when it rains in Miramar, we got potholes and flooding in our neighborhood? Let me just say this. As a congresswoman and as a county commissioner, I did my job with what I can do. I'm not worried about them. And let me tell you how many elected officials support me besides Dale's friends. 31 elected officials support me. I just picked up the Elect Democratic Women endorsement, which is 8 congresswomen from across the United States. You think they really matter? No. Let me just say. Okay.
So all the edges are gone. The edges are gone.
Most elected official endorsements of any candidate in this race, wherever they are, you're talking 8 congresswomen said that's the lady for this job. And I should care about him and his friends? No. Get off the chat, Dale. Get off the chat.
Oh, and so and since she was talking about Dale, so Dale was actually was the first District 20 candidate that we spoke to, right? And he was saying, and someone asked a question about his wife, and then he said she was blacker than all of us, right?
Really? But she's
Yes.
white. How is that possible?
I don't know, but I thought that was a dig at you, but I'm just saying.
Oh, what, me?
Because he also said the other day about like the other person that's supposed to be black on the commission in one of the panels, and I was like, why are you doing that? But okay,
Because he has no platform. You see, people go personal. You remember this game when we was in school, and it was called the Dirty Dozens, or it was like, you kind of made the shots. You took your final shot was at the mama.
It's over once you talk about the person mama.
Once you went there, because you didn't have nothing else but your mama.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like that.
I didn't take it as a dig to Dr. Sharief. I took it as a dig to us. I'm like, I don't know who you talking about because he was
talking about us and her. No, and the reason why I said I think he was talking about her was because the I don't know which one of the panels we just saw last, but he was talking about, like, he said something about the other commissioner that's supposed to be black.
Listen, it's not the first time. But it's not the first time that I heard I'm not black enough. I just don't know how much blacker I have to be when I'm from here and I have the history I have and I understand history. I understand African American history. Now, one of the things that I love to do outside, and I'm going to get off of him because what they say, what is he? He's a non-factor.
Right.
So I love African American history, and my collection of African American memorabilia was on display at the African American Research Museum and Library for 18 months. My ancestors taught me where we came from and where we need to go and what we need to achieve. And I've preserved that history. I love antiquing. I love history about civil rights. One day you can come to my house and see my collection, but it was broadcast. It was on Channel 6. It was in the Arlic. And it was one of those things that people looked around and said, well, why did you keep that? And it is a reminder of where we've come from. And I taught my children what the N word means. I taught them where that originated from. I taught them about the South through my collection. So for me, that's just something I personally did. I love it. I love our history. We have a rich history. And I don't need to prove how black I am. I don't have that desire.
You sure enough don't. So we're gonna work. I'm gonna put all your information
down. She told us why we need to vote for her, but we're gonna let her wrap that up in her own words and tell people how to get in touch with you, how they can send you money, how they can volunteer and get a free shirt and some water bottles. This is like that's how folks get paid now. They get paid with T-shirts and water, right? When they volunteer.
Well, all I can tell you is, if you haven't learned anything about me in the time that I've been on this call with you, is that I'm a genuine person. I think my experience is what makes me different from the rest of the candidates and what makes me the better candidate for the job. I know what it's like to struggle. I didn't get here overnight. It took a lot of trials and tribulations. I've gone through losing my dad. I know what it's like to lose a family through gun violence. I know what it's like to be the mayor of a county and deal with presidents, not one president. I've dealt with natural disasters. I've dealt with allocating funds from Congress. I dealt with negotiations on the WRDA bill to get our port included in the expansion projects with the Army Corps of Engineers. I was mayor in 2016 when that went through. I've been to Tallahassee. There's no other candidate that can tell you they were not elected statewide to represent the entire state of Florida. No other candidate that can tell you that they've been on a national bipartisan health steering committee for 9 years working to help people in Black and brown communities gain access to care. These are the issues. No other candidate in this race that can tell you that they have provided jobs to over 200 Black and Hispanic professionals in Broward and Dade counties. Nobody that can tell you they started a company from scratch 20 years with their retired English teacher mother, and it is now my salvation my kids' salvation, and I got 2 girls getting ready to go into medical school. I'm going to tell you like this. If my history and my sense of dedication and determination in my life does not convince you that you should vote for Dr. Barbara Sharief on November the 2nd, then I don't know what else will. But that's me, and that's what I'm bringing to the table.
All right.
All right. Okay. So the information for Dr. Barbara Sharief is on the page. You have a number where you can call if you want to join her campaign. That's 954-743-9240. And her website is barbarashariefforcongress.com. We've been flashing it out throughout the show. If you have any other questions, I'm pretty sure Dr. Sharief would love to answer them for you. So please give her a call at that number. And this was really, really good. I mean, like, I enjoyed every last morsel of this interview.
Oh, absentee ballots drop on September the 18th. Please watch your mail. Watch your mail for my information because I'm sending some to you too. Watch your TV because I'm coming to your TV as well. And I'm already on the TV, but just watch it some more so you can learn more about me. I am here. I'm present. And by the way, my cell phone number has been the same for 30 years. And that cell phone number that's on the side of my car that people call, I actually answer it. And so you guys, if you want representation, you know where to find me. Thank you all for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for coming. So we're going to end our interview, but we have our wrap up that we do afterwards. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharief, for coming on. It was very refreshing. I enjoyed every bit of it. If you want to stick around and watch our Facebook page or our YouTube and listen to our wrap up, you can, because I sure am going to get into it. It's going to be quite can't wait. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for coming.
I have another forum at 7, so I'm gonna get off. But
is that what is it gonna be like? Who's doing one tonight?
I have 7 o'clock. It's for Haiti. I'm helping them to raise money. It's with the Haitian American Nurses Association.
Okay.
It started at 6. So I'm due to chime in because I'm donating again. You know, we just sent a ship to Haiti when the earthquake happened a few weeks ago, and I sent a lot of medical supplies. And so now what we're working on is getting nurses the pay that they need to get there and to be working over there, and the nurses that are in Haiti already. So this is what tonight's, it's like a telethon basically.
Okay.
So, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, we thank you because our parents are Haitian and we're from Haitian descent. So we appreciate it. And we think anything we can bring, you can bring for Haiti. We love that. And we appreciate you for doing that. Thank you so much.
All right. So I'll see you guys. Take care.
Right. Thank you so much. All right.
All right. Girl.
I'm almost done. Yeah, it was a good conversation. I was getting some messages while this was happening.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, you know, I was not in a controversial mood today because
I wasn't in a controversial mood today. I saw some of the
controversial mood today, but I was getting some
of the questions in the chat. People were choosing violence.
I kind of slipped most of them in. I asked about the Republican, you know, whether or not she was a Republican. She didn't say she never registered as a Republican. She just said she always ran as a Democrat. So I don't know if that was
no, she did say she was never a Republican. She said she's always been registered.
I think she said she never ran as a Republican. I don't think she said she
okay.
That's how I heard it, but you know, I could be wrong.
Okay, well, we'll rewind the tapes. All right, okay.
And they asked why she you know, announced, you know, right soon after Alceen's passed. She answered that before we even was able to answer that question. She talked about what she wants to do for the Pahokee, Belglade, South Bay area. And then there was a question about which made her think that Alceen's time was over. So I think she kind of explained that a little bit, saying that you know, because of his health, she believed that he wasn't going to run again anyway.
Right.
So it kind of made sense to you know. But I think that's the That was an inference that I made from the reason why she said.
That's the inference I made also.
Okay.
That's the inference I made out. That's the
yeah, I think we touched all the hot stuff. And she talked.
Yeah.
She said she dropped a record talking about what she did for Miramar. She got us that overpass on Pembroke Road, and I have to tell you that overpass on Pembroke Road I benefited from that for sure because I worked at the Kaiser University that's right there, and because that street didn't go through, I used to have to go to Miramar, sometime all the way to Bass Creek, and go the long way to get across.
Oh
wow! And when they opened that up, I was like, what used to take me 25 minutes started taking me 8. So I definitely benefited from that overpass. So I was happy when that opened. So
well,
the amphitheater is also, she said she had some responsibility for that. That's the concert venue that's right near my house. I can walk there if I feel like it.
Check my record, boo.
Outdoor event. So yeah, regular cameras.
My record, boo.
She said,
she wasn't mixing words with people. She was like, check my record. And she said, dude, does it look like I care that they don't support me? They're friends.
She's like, those are his friends.
He said when you sent Angela Alexander Davis to run against, I beat her
by 68. So
I thought that was good. I thought that how did you feel about her saying that she doesn't like the fact that Black women, I think she mentioned like Black women. She said, but Black people were telling her like, wait your turn and all that other stuff, whatever. Tell me what you thought, and I'm gonna tell you what I thought.
So I do understand that whole about like, who gets to dictate when somebody's turn is, right? Because again, we said we're not dream killers here. If that's what the spirit has moved you to make this step, I'm here for it. But I don't like the fact that there's so many people. I don't like it. But they all have a right to run. They do. I just hope, the ones who, all of them that had to resign and run, that somebody, that has the right type of ideology gets to take their place, that we're not losing, that we don't lose out on all of these great folks that's doing great work, because they resign to run and, and they giving up their position, and then we end up with somebody that at least that doesn't have the commitment level that they had. So that's the downside of it, is that so many people had to give up space, in order for them to be a part of this process. And then I don't want us to lose out, on all those good folks.
I totally agree. I totally agree with her saying, who tells you, no one can dictate how you, when you run and when you were supposed to go. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I am in agreement with you that there's way too many people running in the race. However, we do want people to know that we're not trying to kill people's dreams or whatever. But I really resonated with her when she said that, because there's so many people. For people who've never ran for office, you don't understand the pressure behind the scenes when you have people coming to you basically telling you, like, wait your turn, or this ain't your turn. You shouldn't be running for this, or you shouldn't be running for that. And who are you to say what I can and cannot do? That's number one. And number two, while I applaud many of the people running for this important seat, I do have a problem with people resigning their position, especially when there's not enough of us to go around, right? And some of them who haven't even like just started their stuff and they just got there. That's my problem. The ones who've already been there, and like she was saying that she's terming out, and then there's some other people who are terming out and they're leaving. I really don't feel no type of way that they're running. I feel like, they've done their course and they should have all the rights. But those who just got into either the House or the Senate, or who just got their position and now you're deciding that you want to run, I don't know. I'm a little bit.
So I do get that. I do understand that part, and I guess what they're thinking is that I think who wins now wins again in November. Like whoever gets it this year.
I'm not so sure this time. I'm not so sure.
I think so. I think who gets it now gets it again in November. Now, do they get it in 24? I don't know, but I think if you get it now, if you win now and serve 8 months or 10 months or whatever it is, and then you lose, like I don't understand. Like I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like I won't understand that.
I'm really conflicted. I'm just really conflicted about that. I'm really conflicted for because for me, for candidate, I want to see consistency. And I don't want you to start something and then stop and then start something and then stop and then start something again and then stop.
That can't be your track record, right? Like, you know, have you stayed through with all the other stuff, and then in this moment you made that jump, then you know people may be able to make, but if that's just how you roll, you know.
Yeah, I'm conflicted about that.
Like you're gonna be running for Senate in 24 against Rick Scott.
I'm just saying. And the other thing that I like when she said, "Who is to tell you, you know, when you can run?" The other thing too, and I want to rope in Sheila back in here also, is because you know when she put her money in, everybody, you know, I'm one of the people who kind of like was kind of iffy about it. But again, she has the right to put as much money she wants into her campaign. She has the right to bet on herself. And if she wants to put $10 million, $5 million, $2 million, $1 million, doesn't matter. Don't care about the increment. She has the right to do that. And one thing that I learned from you through our relationship is that, you know, people need to stop telling Black people how to feel, what to do, how to do it, when not to do it, how much they should put, how much they shouldn't put. And so we, even though I may have some reservations about how people are doing things, I just think that, you know, you don't get to tell people what they can.
Especially the one, and the main one who's saying what you shouldn't do, they're doing the same thing, right? It's like, okay, so why is it okay for you and not okay for me, right? Is it a problem that I'm doing it? And that's what we're seeing with this voting rights stuff, right? Like when the Republicans were doing mail-in ballots all the time, it was never a problem. And now all of a sudden, the Democrats and people of color are like, yo, I ain't got to leave my house. What? And I can track it online. And now they're like, oh no, we can't have them doing it. Now it's a problem. And they got to, you know, put in all of these measures in place. And you can't drop it off for your uncle and your grandma and this and the that and the third. And it's because we've been able to use that to our advantage. And that's what's happening. So, you know, in the case of Sheila, she has her money and she's using her money to her advantage, which she should be able to do. Because I've said that, you know, most of these elected officials are people with money. So what do your daddy and your whoever helped you get this seat too. So don't be mad at her that that's the way, you know, she's doing it. And especially if she, you know, clearly she could, I mean, I
ain't mad at her. I have my opinions, but I ain't mad at her. I ain't mad at her. I have my opinions. I ain't mad at her. But Stephanie said, I don't think it's right to trash a whole city commission by folks you represent. Just my opinion. Yeah. Listen,
but she didn't talk about the people. She just talked about those elected officials being that person's friends, right? Because some folks do have blind loyalty. We're witnessing that in the Republican Party right now. You know what I mean? Like they're just voting along the line. They don't care. It could be stupid, but they're like, oh, Republicans said do it. All right, I'm on it. So I think the comment was more about the blind loyalty than opposed to her, you know, really saying something about the folks that live, the residents of Miramar, because she was giving them their props the whole time. All right, in the field now, it's the 3 or 4 in November. It may be a different race. I still think it's going to be a tough race because I really, you know, I might say that, you know, I don't think all 11 are contenders. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know where I get that from. I'm just saying, I don't think all 11
hold on, slow down. You said you don't think all 11?
No, I don't think they're all contenders. I don't think they all have an equal shot of getting this seat. I think it may really only be like 5, maybe 6 for real.
Okay.
That are really in the race that there's a chance that they're going to win this thing. I don't think all 11 are contenders.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
She said they're running the city
to the
ground. She did say that part. She did say they were running the city into the ground. Mm-hmm. You know, I guess I should have asked to explain what she said because I live in Miramar. I like Miramar, so.
Well, you don't find any potholes or anything like that?
Well, I mean, but remember, like when we had our last interview, and I said I had to call the mayor's office to make them put a sign out about the construction. Yeah, but they did take care of it. No, I called and I was like, "What y'all doing?" And they took care of it. So they did.
Well, I think it was more so.
I mean, construction and you ain't got no signs out. Are you crazy? People going to work. Yeah, I called them and they took care of it that day.
Right. I just think that, you know, when you're a person and like we don't know some of the stuff she knows behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so when you're being, you know, kind of, I don't want to use the word attack. I feel like sometimes maybe agitated by folks who have loyalty to another person. You know, sometimes you just don't have anything, you know, positive to say. But you know,
so C. Shoro made a comment about they have the other people who I said are not contenders. Yes, they do have the ability to take votes away from somebody. Which they're definitely gonna do that. They're absolutely gonna take.
They're gonna do it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
a field should be narrow so those votes don't go in that direction, particularly for some.
You know, and the ones that are not contenders know that they're not contenders. Like they know it.
Dream killers.
I'm not trying to be a dream killer. I'm just saying that they know that they're not contenders, but they're still in the race anyway. And to me, I kind of look at you different when you do that, because I feel like, you know, and especially when there's a bunch of Black people, right? There's not enough of us to go around. If there's a seat that's
enough
open,
of us to go around. It's enough of us to go around.
If there's no. If there's enough,
I don't think it should be 11 of us in the race, but it's enough of us.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If there's enough of us to go around, it shouldn't have been a crowded race in the first place. That's how I feel. And I feel like, you know, you're taking away from a potential person that can be at a seat at the table for us, and that's my problem. Yeah. That's where I have to do it.
So Stephanie's asking, did they all endorse that? I believe they all did endorse Dale. I think they all endorsed him.
I believe they all did,
including Maxwell Chambers.
You shady as fuck.
He throws some very good parties in Miramar. Okay, I'm just saying he throws some good parties.
That's true. Yeah. She said, someone said South Floridians are creatures of habit. They vote name recognition. That's true. And that's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate because you have real good people who are running and because of name recognition, they never have an opportunity.
Yeah. So they need to get this because Carly said that she used to go see the signs in the neighborhood. So all y'all that's running, y'all better get them signs in some of those neighborhoods because that's how they decide who they gonna vote for. I guess whoever have the most signs in the yard wins. So people to put your sign in their yard.
I'm just saying,
you have a chance. That's some neighborhoods that works like that. We can't put no signs out here, so. I don't get to. So
I thought it was a good interview. I like the fact that she was a straight shooter about what she felt and how she felt. And I appreciated that. My overall signs don't win elections, votes do. That's right, Stephanie. They don't.
Hey, that's how you get the votes with the signs in the yard. That's how you get the votes. The signs in the yard. Okay.
I thought overall she presented well. All the women that we spoke to, I feel presented well. I feel like all the women came with their A game, in my opinion. And I think the men, some of the men were okay. But the women for sure came with their A game. They were presented well. They spoke well. And they, got into it. I really enjoyed our stuff with Representative Taylor yesterday because you took her by surprise.
Wait, what my streetwalker comment? Come on.
She didn't like it.
Talking about prostitutes, that was so funny to me. I was like, but all right. So we wrapped up the ladies, and we're trying to get what's Fine's first name? The write-in candidate.
Oh, I sent her a message. Okay. She replied, and she said she's doing. Yeah, we're trying to get the write-in to come.
They don't have to go battle. Chris Smith did lose the deal.
Yeah.
Just these signs of it. Yeah. I think Chris Smith didn't realize the demographic shift that was happening in the county.
But Seashar Rose says, trust me, signs and palm cards work in the Black community. Don't be hoodwinked.
They doing Lil Haiti because my mama, when it's time to go vote, she pulls out a card and be like, yeah, and then then in Dade County, not only do they have the person's name, they also have a number. So that's like, they have a number, and that they kind of do that with elections in Haiti because a lot of they have numbers and they have symbols. So for people who can't read and know the names, but in Miami they have a name and they have a number. And my mom was like, "Yo, these numbers, go vote for them." I'm like, well, I don't know about that, mommy, but she pulls out a card and hands it to me and be like, "Make sure we vote for this person." So in some communities, those cards they work.
It be working. It'd be working. At least all right. So I put out a message to the writing candidate who we saw on a forum the other night. I thought I was like really impressed with her. She said that to give her until Monday to respond about a date and time. And we have the Libertarian coming next week
on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. Termat.
Yes.
With both works best. Yeah, door to door is good, even with the Rona.
Yep, it is. It's still good even the road. And apparently, Dr. Sharief is going door to door because she said that she was knocking on people's doors. So
yeah, there are people. Some people have volunteers doing that. Some people are paying folks to do that too. So
right, that's right. Yeah, so she said she's gonna be on TV, and she said she's gonna send out some mailers. I know that Sheila's on TV, and Sheila's been sending out some mailers.
I was supposed to watch at 6. We were still on, so hopefully there's a rerun. I think she did something at 6 today on WPLG channel.
Okay. 10. Okay. So yes, Stephanie, we do have the Libertarian coming.
Yeah, Mike Tremette.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna have because someone from his camp was watching our show and was like, "Do you take difference of opinion?" And we were like, "Cool." So not at all. And he's a police officer, by the way, Stephanie. So you might want to jump on and see, okay? Because we're gonna still be asking him about
policing.
Yeah. Yes, we will be. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I feel like the whole thing needs to be dismantled and rebuilt again with the input of the disadvantaged, the impoverished,
over police community,
over everybody. Okay,
all messed up, y'all. Sorry about that. I don't know what's happening here. My collar wrong. I don't know what to do. Okay.
Good.
So she will be here. He to ask him if he's willing to spend money. Oh. Okay.
We'll ask him.
If he's willing to spend money to lose because he don't have a chance.
Yeah,
in an 85% Democratic county.
You bad. You are. Okay. So we're still waiting on response from Mr. Thurston.
So because we haven't heard from him, we're referring everyone to the Let's Talk Justice page.
That's right.
A very good interview with Suzette Speaks.
He did.
So he has not decided to come speak with us, but he did a very good interview with Suzette Speaks on her Let's Talk Justice page, so you can watch what his positions are on various issues on her Let's Talk.
And
Justice
we shared it on our page too, so you can have that access to it too. So I mean, at least, and we were in the comments,
so we asked some questions.
So maybe you could just take that as our interview, because we asked questions in the chat.
Right.
So we're off. We'll be back on the
Wednesday. On the 15th. On Wednesday.
On the
15th. She said no. He needs to come to us. Yeah, he has been endorsed. But the AFL-CIO did endorse Perry Thurston.
Yes, he did mention that he was endorsed by the AFL-CIO.
It is a great endorsement.
Yeah, it is.
He's scared. She said he's too scared. Oh, he's too scared to come talk to us. We're nice though.
We are nice.
We good.
I think we are.
Every now and then we kind of throw people off, but we good.
The very first person was on a defensive when they came in.
That person had an agenda. So oh yeah, he's definitely gonna put down the sign the AFCIO the endorsement. That makes sense.
That's a big endorsement though. That's a big endorsement. That's a huge endorsement. But she said that she was endorsed by 8
other women around the country.
Around the country, honey. So she don't need to have nobody from Miramar.
No, she said nobody. She said 3 of his friends. She didn't say nobody. She said his 3 friends.
3 of his friends. Well, no, she didn't say even 3. She said his friends. Those are his friends.
Yeah, his friends. I'm 3 friends. Yeah. I understand why Perry doesn't. If he doesn't come talk to us, because it's, I guess we want to talk to you though.
He ain't scared. He's strategic. He knows he can only lose. He's already winning.
He's already winning.
Winning on what? Just that endorsement?
I guess he's polling high based on his.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he don't need to. So the last thing you want to do is put yourself in a situation where you say some stuff that is really gonna get you in trouble.
Right. Ma'am, her ex-spouse.
What? Oh.
Well, Sandra already said even Maxwell Chambers with her shady boots up here being shady.
I was not being shady. It was accurate information. No, but I'm telling you, listen, she got that she got the red light cameras. She got the amphitheater. I'm like, okay, I love my city. Right. So, she needs to set her sights on Perry. Oh yeah.
That's a good point.
That's a good point. Don't worry about Dale anymore. Worry about Perry.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's so funny that she thought Dale was in the chat.
or at least his people.
We should have put Stephanie's name up there so she could see it was Stephanie saying, honey, because Diane was my friend, okay? And you was running as a Republican when she beat you, all right? We should have put that up, but I didn't want to be.
But she wasn't. She said she didn't run as a Republican.
Yeah, she did. That's what she said. She said she didn't. Next time, Stephanie, we're gonna put your name up there, child, because we just didn't want to be. We just didn't want. Every time people come here, they feel like they make it look like we're trying to be mean, and we're not. And
I'm saying, like, we not. They were like, we're tougher on the women. So I was like, I definitely wasn't trying to make another, give a sister a hard time.
But the people in the chat was giving her a hard time, though. They were coming, child. They were coming for her neck. I was like, I don't know.
Okay. Was beeping. The chat was beeping. My phone beeping. The watch beeping. I'm like,
beeping you. Oh, good. Stephanie said she ready. Stephanie, we're gonna plaster your stuff when you speak to the Libertarian. We're gonna make sure we plaster it right up on the board there, so everybody can see. I ain't got no problem doing that. We like the people in the chat.
All right, so thank you, District 20 candidates.
Yes.
We don't know where you at. I think that's okay.
Okay. We did everybody except for Perry Thurston, but that's all right, Perry. You can catch Perry with Suzette Speaks. I wasn't giving her a hard time. Wanted to give her an opportunity to answer that people are whispering about. Oh, absolutely. We try to slip it in there. Yeah. I don't think it was. When I read it initially, some of it came off a little hot.
But we just had to find the right time to intertwine it. So the questions were asked. They were all the ones in the chats were asked. They were. These weren't asked at the time that they were.
She came out swinging with it. She didn't play no game. She came out swinging. But it was funny why she thought it was Dale. I should have made sure that she saw it was Stephanie so she could get off of Dale.
I guess there are people listening, so they're going to go talk about her tomorrow when the next thing is. I think the next one that we know about is on the 14th.
Yes.
It's the Connect, something Connect.
That's what Suzette Speaks also.
Suzette Speak is moderating that, but she's moderating it for a different organization.
I think
for some organizations.
I think it's all the sororities. And
so it's on the 14th. It's connecting something in Connect. She's doing that.
We have it on our page too. Yeah, we have it on our page too. So all right, so we'll wrap it up. We'll see you all next week with the Libertarian Mike Termack.
Yeah, Mike Termack.
Looking forward to talking to him and seeing what he all about and stuff. And we saw him on a forum the other day. I wasn't too impressed.
We're gonna. He gotta talk to us. I got questions. I'm gonna go review his thing and then
I got a lot of questions. All right, so thank you all for hanging with us. We appreciate
this. Is like a couple of hours. Y'all did good. Thank you.
Yeah. So we out. We're gonna be out. We'll see you all next week. Have a great weekend. Be safe, people. Okay, because the COVID streets are still out there. Keep wearing your mask. Get vaccinated if you so choose. And complete. Still do the social distancing. I just got another message saying that my kid was exposed. This is like the third or fourth time this time around at school. So we are being very careful over here. Just let you know that we're not over this yet. We're not even over the hump. So please be vigilant about that. There's people out here dying in these streets, and it's not nice. We just lost. I don't know if it's to COVID, but we lost Patrick Jaboin. Yeah. That really affected me because he's a sweet, sweet, sweet man. And I don't know what the circumstances, but prayers to his family and condolences to his friends. And just take care of your peoples, man. Take care of your peoples.
All right. Streets need a body.
What I mean? Oh, okay.
All righty. Good night, everyone.
All right. So good night. Talk to y'all later. And in the broadcast.